Is this glacier collapse attributable to the climate crisis?
Well, yeah, the overall embedded is climate change and the climate crisis. I mean, this is inevitable. We see the glacier retreat. We see in data not just warming of air temperatures that are in media reports very often, but also warming of the permafrost worldwide and in the Alps. It's approximately zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.2 degrees per decade. Doesn't sound that much. But knowing that both the glaciers and the permafrost in mountain areas in the Alps is rather warm, uh, um, that's not far away from 0 degrees, right? So that's the overall embedding. And the other thing is that with glacier retreat, less ice on mountain flanks, mountains get steeper. Um, and there's less support from glacier from ice structures on the outside. Yeah.
Maybe explain to me as a non-scientist how permafrost works in terms of keeping our mountains stable. I've heard it described as a sort of glue.
Yeah, right. The glue analogy is very prominent in the German language, not so much in English, I think. So permafrost is perennially frozen ground. That means you have to take ground, rock, soil, anything like that, solids, and freeze them for at least 2 years. It comes with a definition of the melting point of water, but the scientific definition doesn't contain water itself. Now, in nature, permafrost always contains a percentage of water that is ice, right? And it's dominantly found in the Arctic. 25% of our planet is covered in permafrost. But in the Alps, up from 2,500 meters, depending whether you're south or north, it's really likely. And this permafrost you can't see, and at the surface, it melts daily and seasonally. And this cycling really works in permafrost at the surface. And the depth of this thawing surface, this active layer as it's called, is increasing also worldwide. And that means that we have more voids, we have more fluid water down deep in mountain flanks. That's working and it's refreezing, and it's kind of, when you forgot something in your freezer for at least a couple years, it doesn't look so nice anymore, yeah, because it's really it's this frosty environment and the freeze thaw cycles. They work. It's in the micropores and in the macro surface, right? And from very recent lab studies, we've taken rocks from the Matterhorn to Munich to the university and thawed them in the lab. We know that they can lose up to 80% of their strength just by thawing a chunk of rock, yeah, depending on how much water there is inside and other parts. Yeah.
Because the local mayor in Switzerland described the event as unimaginable. He said the unimaginable had happened.
Yeah.
But the way you're describing it, if mountains are losing this important part of their stability, we're going to have to start imagining that this might happen more often, right?
Right. I mean, the general perspective again is a natural process. Mountains are created by some uplifting force. Often that's tectonic plates pushing onto each other, and mass wasting, erosion counteracts that. If we wouldn't have erosion, mountains would rise up into the skies. We would have other problems, right? But everything that's up eventually comes down with gravity. And so there's this normal process. And if you take Google Earth and you zoom around Blatten and you scroll back in time, there's this nice button in Google Earth for historic photos. There's nice summer photos from 2009. It's crumbling all over, but it's crumbling in little pieces. And the people there, the people in the Eastern Alps, in our Austrian mountains, they know that in little pieces. And now it happened that only a couple of weeks before, a crisis formed. Yeah, it was observed as a little scar. Then people went to have a bigger look, and then at some point they said, "Oh, we better have a meeting and we better start acting on this." Yeah, because we know examples from the Alps from the past years and from other continents where events even much larger have happened.
If I was in an Austrian valley where there are regular rockfalls, as you've mentioned, have been for hundreds of years, how worried should I be that this unimaginable event might happen
Yeah,
in my
so
valley?
as you know, the average, if you and me now we just take the hike, or don't worry at all. We have a huge expertise in the Alps. I mean, worldwide, this is the crème de la crème. Yeah, this is the best, and it's being monitored both by big infrastructures, satellite-based monitoring at European scale, and local observer networks. What's special in Switzerland is that we have a very, very strong collaboration between authorities, researchers, and private companies in this domain for many years. I've been privileged to be part of that network for the past 20 years, and we've been developing a lot of methods that now it's really pleasing to see that sensors, we developed 10 years ago, they're saving lives. They allow you to evacuate on the hour.
This is, I think, an important aspect of this story, particularly with what we're seeing with a sort of anti-science climate in the USA, cuts to science there, and across the rest of the world. What's happened, I guess, is that a scientist said, "Look, this looks dangerous." The authorities reacted, evacuated the village, and lives were saved. So, in a way, it's a story about the importance of listening to scientists.
It's yes, very very much so, and also the importance of creativity and having some blue sky funding. And in this case, I mean, for these GPS sensors that really triggered the evacuation, the story is even better. The authorities came to me and some other colleagues and said, "Listen, here's these dots on the maps we're worried about in the long run." And can we put together these technology pieces? And we did, and we tried. And some of the first scouting meetings, they brought the local mayor to discuss with us, and so on. And this is a prototype thing that I'm now still managing from Innsbruck. So I get the data to Austria, I compute and send it back into their web portal so they can take decisions, right? For now 13, 14 years we've been doing that. And I sometimes in past crisis moments, not in Blatten, but in the Matter Valley in Herbricken, I would get a phone call. Can you have a look on your webcam? Yeah. And because historically, early webcams were really bad, we just thought, let's take a Nikon SLR camera and hook it up with wireless LAN and a bit of Linux up on the mountain. And this is the go-to resource that today you can buy from companies to throw in there, right? And this is it's 30 milliseconds from where I'm giving this interview now to my seismic sensors, broadband seismic high up on the Matterhorn at 4,000 meters.
I've got to try and pin you down on our worries about the future because what the footage we saw, I've never seen anything like it. We also had maybe a year or 2 years ago a glacier on the Marmelade collapsing. There have been these things historically, but these seems like such big events. You're saying permafrost is getting less strong. How worried should we be about the stability of our mountain landscapes? How big a risk is this for forward planning in Austria?
Yeah, so for sure, and we're already seeing this, we will have to retreat with certain endeavors and certain infrastructure in selected places. I mean, this is already ongoing, that some mountain huts, some roads, some ski lifts are really under stress, and that they have to be altered or even abandoned. I mean, on a Alpine scale, right? Also in Austria. And there will be more such significant events, yeah. And sometimes, like last year, Pitzscherchen, or 2 years ago, Fluchthorn, they kind of fall into out nowhere, and there's not so much to worry. But in this case now, it really fell onto the church, right? The church and the school, and with another magnitude. I mean, one more, yeah. And this is something that we will be seeing more. I mean, if we connect this to the topic you had at the beginning, more extreme weather, that's the projection. Then we have to brace ourselves, and also beyond the Alps, beyond us here, there's higher population densities in other mountain areas out there. Yeah.
What can we do? We're probably not going to be able to reverse climate change to get the permafrost that's melted to melt again in the near future. So, what can mountain communities do to protect themselves? I guess nets aren't going to be much help. Is it just about vigilance?
It's vigilance, and that's based on a good knowledge and dialogue footprint, right? I mean, this is something that that's the most important part, I think. That really we empower many people at different levels. This is from the individual citizen to people that take responsibility to private companies that allow to multiply solutions. Yeah, and this really means that we have to um, create data similar to the cryosphere monitoring in Switzerland, which is really excellent. It's one of the best examples worldwide, and I'm proud to be part of that. It's really an honor, and that really shows by example where excellency can lead. Yeah, and yes, I mean, um, uh, forces counteracting science and counteracting um, climate discussion in the past couple months and past 3 years, and especially in the past couple of months, are worrying.
Is there anything physical we can do if the permafrost is melting and they're becoming less stable? Is there any kind of fix, any kind of glue
Well,
or,
only
or work?
locally. I mean, there's in the Arctic they developed methods to be able to construct to build buildings and structures on frozen ground that's wobbling. Yeah, and that has a very simple reason. There are strategic interests, both geopolitical as well as for mining for natural resources. Um, in the Arctic, in the Alps, that's not so pronounced. But no, I mean you can't construct anything to keep that mountain at that size from falling down, and yeah, you can't build a dam big enough. You saw this. I mean it smacks into the other side of the valley and so on. Um, so we are passengers on this train. Yeah, and nature is big and strong, has always been, and this is a passenger train for us.